We start the day's other headlines in the Middle East. Gaza's health ministry says Israeli gunfire killed at least 25 people seeking aid across 3 separate aid distribution sites. 2 of the centers are operated by the U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which insisted today there were no incidents at or near their sites. In the meantime, Palestinians in Gaza City mourned their loved ones following the latest round of Israeli strikes. Family members say nowhere is safe.
My cousin's house was targeted while they were sleeping at 3 in the morning, sleeping in peace. Where do people go? Where do people go, Arabs and Muslims? Now all of Gaza is targeted.
The latest strikes come after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israel will, quote, allow Palestinians to leave areas like Gaza City that are being targeted by Israel's military. But he insists they are not being pushed out. Wildfires raging across Europe have now killed at least 3 people across Albania, Spain, and Turkey. In Greece, a blaze burning near Patras has torn through homes, orchards, and prompted evacuations of dozens of towns. Firefighters say they're losing the battle to protect the perimeter of the country's 3rd largest city.
What does it look like? It looks like doomsday. We came from Athens with our volunteer association, but we can't do anything more. May God help us and help the people here.
Meantime, in Spain, thousands have been displaced by fires north of Madrid. The country's interior ministry says they're asking Spain's European partners for help. Officials across the Mediterranean region say firefighting resources are being stretched thin after weeks of scorching heat. Authorities in Tennessee say at least 3 people were killed and 1 other remains missing after downpours flooded parts of the state. Meteorologists tracked nearly 7 inches of rain in the Chattanooga area yesterday, the 2nd wettest single day in nearly 150 years. Officials say that a mother, a father, and their child all died when a tree uprooted in the wet soil and fell on their car. Rescuers are also searching for a man who was last seen walking through a flooded road. Forecasters are warning of more flash flooding across central and eastern Tennessee tonight. A federal appeals court is allowing the Trump administration to move forward with billions of dollars in cuts to foreign aid. At issue is funding that includes nearly $4 billion for USAID to spend on global health programs and more than $6 billion for HIV and AIDS programs. By a 2-to-1 vote, the judges found that the aid groups that had challenged the cuts lacked the legal right to do so. But they did not weigh in on whether the government's cuts had infringed on the spending powers of Congress. More Americans appear to be heeding warnings about the health risks of alcohol. According to a new Gallup poll, just 54% of adults say that they drink. That is an all-time low. And a record 53% say moderate drinking, or 1 or 2 drinks a day, is bad for their health. That's compared to 28% a decade ago. The shift is driven largely by young adults. Moderate drinking, like having red wine at dinner, was once thought to be good for your heart, but evidence now shows even moderate drinking leads to negative health outcomes and is a leading cause of cancer. On Wall Street today, stocks moved higher as hopes for interest rate cuts gather steam. The Dow Jones Industrial Average jumped more than 460 points. The Nasdaq posted a more modest gain of about 30 points. The S&P 500 also ended in positive territory. And President Trump today announced the first class of Kennedy Center honorees since he took over as chairman. Country music star George Strait, film icon Sylvester Stallone, Broadway actor Michael Crawford, disco queen Gloria Gaynor, and the rock band Kiss will all be honored. The president said he had an active role in the selection.
I was about 98% involved. No, they all went through me. They came over.
Trump also said he plans to host the awards program, a first for a sitting president, and he wants to, quote, fully renovate the site to make it a crown jewel of arts and culture in the U.S. In February, Trump fired long-term staff and took over as chairman of the Kennedy Center, filling its board with loyal supporters. Still to come on the NewsHour, who is Laura Loomer, the controversial far-right activist who has the president's ear? And educator and YouTuber known as Miss Rachel uses her platform to call attention to the plight of children in Gaza.
This is the PBS NewsHour from the David M. Rubenstein Studio at WETA in Washington and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.